What if there has never been a single neutral moment in your life? And what if every thought you think has weight, not in terms of guilt, but in terms of power? Today, we review the 5 ideas that dissolve the illusion of insignificance. The 5 ideas are: I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. And lastly, I am determined to see. This review confronts something that subtly but powerfully destabilizes the foundational assumptions of the ego dream matrix. Assumptions like, you are small, your thoughts are private, your perception is isolated. In truth, you are not small, your thoughts are not private, and your perception is not isolated. In fact, you are participating in the very architecture of the world you see. So in essence, we can say this review lesson presents to us the core that there is no such thing as an insignificant thought. Every thought is teaching the world what to become. Lesson 54 completely dismantles that perceptual error which rests on the belief that our thoughts are small, private, harmless, or inconsequential. It exposes the assumption, what I think within myself doesn't really matter. This assumption is very false, because what this lesson replaces that assumption with is thought is causative. What I hold in mind is manifested and reflected on the screen of consciousness that is the world. So thought is shared and it is world forming. So let's take a look at how it all comes together. So first is the recognition that there are no neutral thoughts. We're seeing that every thought has direction. The direction is that it either reinforces illusion or it opens the door to perception of truth. There is no middle ground here. Thought is either obscuring love or extending love. Next, we come to realize there are no neutral things, which is the objects in the world. Objects don't appear neutral because our thoughts about those objects aren't neutral. Perception is already tilled before we even look. And so we can easily say that the world is not out there. It is already determined by mind. So when we look, we see what has been predetermined within. Now we extend that out, and we come to see that seeing is shared. We can recognize that we are not perceiving alone. The Course goes on to point out that even separation required shared agreement in order to appear real. So what we see reinforces the collective matrix of separation, or helps to undo it by unplugging from it. Next, we go on deeper now to recognize that thought is shared. Not only is seeing shared, but thinking is shared. This is to say that every thought you choose, every thought you give your allegiance to either teaches fear, which is to say that it teaches and multiplies illusion, or it awakens love. And this goes in all directions for yourself and for others. And lastly, it brings us to the moment of determination, the determination to see. And this is our opportunity for the pivot. Once you realize that thoughts are powerful, they are not inconsequential, and thoughts are shared, they're not private and ineffectual, then choosing vision becomes the responsible and sensible act, especially if your orientation is that of service to other. You really want to extend love, realize love, be, live, breathe, love, peace, joy, yeah? Then by all means, what other way is there than to determine to see differently? Seeing differently is, in this context, not about personal improvement. It is indeed the highest service to the whole. So if we put it all in one defining line, let's say, it might go something like this. Because my thoughts are shared, choosing vision, which is, in other words, we're saying choosing true perception, choosing to perceive with love, changes the world. Or if we want to bring it even closer to home, we might say, to change the world, I must change what I am willing to think. Yeah? And this goes back to all of the wisdom that has pointed us inward. Be the change that you want to see in the world, right? Because the world is a mirror. We cannot have the mirror smile first. First, you must smile. And at the core, we have to also acknowledge this lesson is not about guilt. It is about agency. If your thoughts were powerless, then nothing could ever change. But because your thoughts matter, vision matters. And choosing to see differently is not a sacrifice, not at all. It may appear as a sacrifice to some of those algorithms that are running with great momentum, the ego dream matrix algorithms. But to your soul and to the truth of who and what you are, choosing to see with love is as natural as breathing. It is a gift you give to yourself and to everyone you meet. So now, let's take our contemplation deeper. And what I want to invite you into here is that without any special preparation, just now, begin to observe the flow of your thoughts. Just become aware of the flow of thinking in a way that allows you to truly witness and recognize the content of your mind. There's no particular direction except just to notice what thoughts are popping up, what thoughts your attention is being drawn to. And as you've come to recognize one or two thoughts, pause and just notice the quality of the thoughts you are aware of. Remember that there's no such thing as just a thought. Consider the thoughts you witnessed and ask yourself, is this thought reinforcing fear or extending love? Is this thought making the world heavier or lighter? And if this thought were multiplied across humanity, in other words, if everyone was thinking this thought, would I want to live in that world? Take a moment to truly feel that energetic quality that reveals to you the true nature of the thoughts that you behold. And take these next few moments to contemplate. And now, let's begin to unfold our contemplation into dialogue. And the very first contemplation that I want to bring to us is this. These 5 ideas that were covered in Lesson 54, they essentially form a cohesive architecture, we might say, a foundational thought system that might go something like this. Thoughts create the world that we perceive. The world reflects our mind. The mind is shared, not just limited to my body or your body. The effects of our perception and our thinking ripple outward. And at the core, what we see and how we choose to see is a choice. So, this lesson essentially says to us, you are not a spectator. You are not reacting to a finished or factual universe. You are participating in perception. And the world you behold is not just happening, it is responding to what you hold in mind. So, Shanti, is this an accurate understanding of this review lesson from your perspective? And can you help us to unfold and apply these realizations to our day-to-day experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that captures it. It's almost shocking when you really sit with it. Like the entire dynamic shifts. I mean, we spend so much of our lives feeling like things are happening to us or that we're just reacting. To realize that at some level we're actively co-creating what we're experiencing through our thoughts, it's not just conceptual. There's something about it that feels like you're holding the brush, you know?
So, can you unfold this a little bit more for us in terms of what does that mean in just the day-to-day experience?
I think it starts with just noticing the reactions that feel like they're happening to you. Like that moment where you're stuck in traffic and instantly spiral into being late and ruin schedules. That whole story just unfolds automatically. But if you can recognize it as a story, like you're not being held hostage by traffic, but you're choosing to believe that story about being late, then the practice becomes not fixing traffic, but noticing that you can shift where you place your attention and the narrative you're fueling. It's like catching yourself in the loop before it spirals. recognizing it's not external happening to you, it's creative. So you're no longer tossed around.
Okay, so yeah, we're bringing in this more lucid awareness. And instead of just kind of going with the flow, we can begin to recognize what's happening. And I guess, we can begin to really bring in the awareness of the quality of the thought. Because if no thought is neutral, then even the quiet commentary that runs in the background of our day is actually shaping something. And we might say, I guess we'd say, what are the so-called harmless thoughts that we keep entertaining that are actually constructing the world we experience?
Exactly. Those almost invisible background programs running all day. Should have done that better. This is annoying. Things would be easier if they seem tiny, but they're shaping reality subtly. It's wild because we're not just reacting to situations. These low-grade, persistent currents of thought are basically designing the scenery we're walking through.
Would it be accurate to say that, what I see is evidence of what I think?
Totally. Like the world doesn't come first and then create your feelings. The story you're carrying around, the unspoken narrative of I'm behind, this should be different, people should behave better. It's not reacting to reality. It's making it up in real time. The evidence is coming from your thoughts, not the other way around.
This really paints the world as less of a battlefield of wills and ideas and, who's right, who's wrong, but really more of a mirror, more of almost we can say a one-player game. Would you say?
One-player game, exactly. There's this assumption we're constantly at odds with the outside world or with other people, locked in some struggle for something. But the lesson suggests the real struggle is within. It's this constant battle with the thoughts in your own mind. And as long as you're seeing conflict out there, you're missing the actual location of where the problem's being made.
Yeah, it's beautiful also to notice how this lesson or this review just essentially dissolves the idea that I am just observing life, right? Because it at the core of it, it's showing how we are participants in the shaping of perception with every thought. And I just wonder what really would change if we stop kind of seeing ourselves as these bystanding witnesses to the world and start recognizing ourselves as contributors to the world that we see.
I think everything would change, actually. There's something about that shift from observer to creator that takes your power back, but also carries immense responsibility. Because what we've been doing all this time is unconsciously crafting our reality based on anxieties, expectations, and judgments. The shift is recognizing that's what we're doing, owning the brush instead of blaming the painting.
Yeah, that's very beautifully put. What about that other aspect of this review that talks about there are no private thoughts? Does that mean that my fear and my love, they don't stay contained within me, right?
Right. That's the part that can feel pretty disorienting. Does it mean gakoneno, right? Like my thoughts are mine. But if all perception is shared perception, meaning your nervous system filters experience through thoughts, which are universal patterns, then what you're thinking in this moment is adding something to everyone's experience. It means when you're feeling scarcity or judgment or anxiety, it's not staying boxed inside you. It's feeding something into the collective pattern. And vice versa, when there's peace or joy or acceptance, that's radiating out too.
Yeah. I always like to also explore this. By the way, yeah, beautiful. I really like the way that you explained that. I wanted to zoom in on an aspect of that hidden payoff, right? Because if we keep seeing a world of conflict, scarcity, instability, then it must be that a part of us is actually invested in that narrative. And I wonder, what payoff might we be getting from continuing to see the world through fear?
Right, because it seemed almost absurd. Like, who would choose to see fear and suffering? But the payoff's often subtle. It's the sense of specialness, of being a victim or a martyr. Or it's the ego getting to prove it's right about how dangerous the world is. Maybe it's maintaining control. Like, if everything's chaotic, you have to be vigilant, responsible, you gotta be in charge. There's this weird feedback loop where the ego creates the danger to justify its existence. It's like we're actually addicted to being right about how wrong everything is.
Wow. We are addicted to being right about how wrong everything is. That's pretty profound.
I mean, it's wild, right? How much energy goes into confirming our assumptions about brokenness.
Yeah. So then, it's like, let's kind of begin to put it all together here. If our thoughts shape what appears before our eyes, then changing the world is not about moving objects around or trying to implement new policies or something like that. It might essentially be that at the very core, it begins with changing our interpretation of what we're seeing. So is transformation then not about really fixing circumstances, but rather about withdrawing our belief from the version of reality that we've been rehearsing?
Exactly. It's like all the activism or change work or social justice stuff. None of it is pointless, but it's running on fumes if you're still fundamentally interpreting reality through fear or judgment. The core of the transformation, or liberation really, is realizing there's an alternative lens available, seeing the world as friendly and innocent rather than hostile and scary. And when you choose that lens, the action follows almost automatically because you're no longer responding from defense, but from creation.
This is another cool angle, right? No longer responding from defense, but from creation. That sense of power and a degree of authorship. So here's what I want to ask you. Before we wrap up, Shanti, could you take a moment to just help us to see any kind of blind spots that we might have that could be essentially preventing us from really receiving the gifts that this lesson is sharing with us?
I think the biggest blind spot is probably treating this lesson like just another helpful tool or technique. There's something almost dangerous about how simple it is. Like, oh, I'll just change my thinking. But the Course keeps pointing to this deep conditioning, this almost unconscious pattern of needing to be in control, needing to protect ourselves, needing to have the world conform to our story. That's the thing we're not seeing. That under it all is this deeply ingrained pattern that assumes separation, lack, and the threat lurking behind everything. As long as we cling to that inner need to prove that danger exists, or to fix the pain, we'll stay stuck in identifying with symptoms instead of the source.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Shanti. Yeah, wow. It was a powerful journey. And as we come to the close of this time together, let's just remember what we received here. There are no neutral thoughts. There are no neutral things. There's no neutral seeing. You are participating in the world you behold. want to invite you to take this time to allow this power to really land in your belly, in your chest, in your very being. And if today you're willing to see, perceive with intention rather than habit, take a moment to mark this turning point for yourself. Share your insights in the comments section below, or simply comment the word vision as your commitment to let love replace fear in your perception. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who would love to receive this gift as well. And now, let us go into the silence.